Welcome back to Rogue Dragon Gaming. We're playing Nethelas. I practiced a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do the beginner dungeon. We don't have to generate it because the map's already generated for us. Okay. So, when you first awaken among rotting corpses, confusion and pain, you have nothing but some rags on, and the knowledge you accumulated all those years spent on the surface of Nethelas. Nethelas is an unforgivable place, and you'll find your footing quickly if you want to survive. Hard beginning, so we take a die 6 of damage, a die 4 sanity loss, and +1 exhaustion. So we can look here on my character sheet. We got 14 out of 17 toughness, 15 out of 17 sanity. Exhaustion starts at 0, which is 1 now. We have 5 ether because I activated my dark side. It takes 5. That's sustained. Okay. So we have 5 ether. It will take us 4 to infuse our weapons when we use them. Okay, so if this is your first ever playthrough, we strongly recommend that you use the following starting domain. Okay, so we don't have to do Overseer. I'm not going to do Overseer Influence. We don't have to do an exit because that's already in here. Combat encounters, we use this chart instead of the more varied chart. All doors are marked on the map, so you don't have to do a door check. You have to do it when there's a door drawn. So we start here, we're at number 1, and then some of these rooms are marked with what we're going to do, and the others, we go into them. We'll just do it randomly. Okay. So the corpse pile, this is where you open your eyes for the first time after your supposed execution. Because in this game, you've committed a crime, like we were illegally poaching. We just wanted some food, and they tried to kill us for that. This is where the nightmare begins. There's nothing of value here, just rotten flesh and vermin. You do find a half-spent torch with 10 uses, but I'm going to leave it because I can't carry but so much. I don't have any pack or anything in our bags. I can only carry 2 items. And in the next room, room 2, this room appears to be some ancient guard room. A tattered banner still hanging from one of the walls. Several armor and weapon racks lie collapsed and rotten near the walls. But among the many rusty pieces of weaponry, you find something that you can use. A dagger, a club, a pilum, which is a polearm. Roll once on the random armor tables. So I already drew from the armor tables, and I drew like a heavy piece of armor, which slows me down. It reduces my maneuverability, so I don't want it. We don't want the pilum. It's two-handed because we can use 2 one-handed weapons without penalty. So I put here the dagger and the club. Dagger is bladed, the club is bludgeon. The dagger can pierce, the club can bludgeon. The piercing dagger has a speed of 10. It's quick, and the club has a speed of 5. It's simple. So, all right, there's no combat encounter or event in this room. Okie dokie. So what we're going to do is, since we're here, we're going to go down, check out this little area here. We'll roll for random events in this room, in this corridor here, and then we'll do a door check, and we'll enter this room. Okay? So that's what we're going to do basically at first. So let's do our random checks for entering the room. Okay. So we have a room. And we're going to generate the description. So let's see. Room descriptions. Old iron ingots are piled in a corner of this room, each one of them marked with a seal of an ancient house. Okay. We're going to do a tension check, which I did this earlier, but when I was practicing, we'll do it again. And then layer exit check and light source. We don't have to do those because this is a pre-generated dungeon. We've already got our layer and our exit, and I'm using night vision, so we don't need a light source. Okay, let's see if there's an encounter in this room. We need a 10 or better. 16, combat encounter. Okay. So we have our chart in here for the dungeon. We need to roll a die 20 again. 14. Our encounter is skeletal horrors. Okay. So now I have a problem because skeletal horrors is not on the combat encounter table. So let me see. Oh, skeletal horrors, but it's under the description. So here we have skeletal horrors or remnants of fallen warriors, cursed to wander eternally. These skeletal monsters are shrouded in tattered, blood-stained remnants of their once proud armor, their bones blackened and charred by the fires of the afterlife, with hollow eye sockets emanating an otherworldly glow. They wield spectral weapons with an unnatural dexterity, instilling dread in the hearts of any who dare cross their path. Driven by a thirst for vengeance, skeletal horrors mercilessly hunt those who trespass upon their cursed domain, their haunting wails echoing through the night, a haunting reminder of the tragic fate that befell them. All right, so they're undead, and there's 2 of them. They have 3 health. Their armor has 1 chest. Armor has 1 on the chest, just for the torso. Their combat skill is 30. Okay. And they can do things like slash with their weapon, ethereal grasp, haunting wail, vengeful onslaught. Okay. Very interesting. So those are our skeletal horrors. So how about these two? In this game, they don't use distance because there's really they just assume that you're just dancing around fighting each other. So they don't really have like, there's not a lot of ranged attacks either. There's spells, I think, that go across the room and stuff, just fill a room, but there's not like, I don't think they have bows and arrows. All right. Well, the first thing we want to do these kind of flats, just gotta kind of stick your thumbnail in there to figure out which side the slot's on, and you slide it in and push it down, and yeah, slide it in and push it down, and oh Lord. Yeah, slide it in and push it down. There we go. And then we'll take another one here. There we go. We'll slide it in and push it down. There we go. And then we have a couple of our skeletal horrors there. So there they are. And there's my character, the dual wield. Comes in. And now we're going to, for the first time, do combat. Okay. Combat in Nethelas into the Midnight Throne is relatively abstracted, as I was talking about before. And instead of tracking your and your opponent's positions, it is simply assumed that you are both moving around the room, leveraging your positional advantages and preferences as you can. This is why concepts such as range, or cover don't really play a role here. A combat will alternate between you and your opponents, taking turns until only one is left. Performing an attack is the same as the other skill check. A turn is a single combatant's chance to act, while as a round is the sum of all the combatant's turns, both player and non-player. So when all combatants have taken a turn, that round ends and another begins. A combat round lasts an average of 10 seconds. All right, free actions. Cost nothing to use and are typically small. Dropping an item, dropping opponent, casting a free ability, or ceasing the concentration on the sustained ability. So I am going to cast my free ability of what's an infused weapon. It's not free, it costs 4 points. But regardless, that's what I'm doing. Well, let's assume that that's activated because it stays activated until you rest or until you get knocked unconscious or killed. So reaction is a free action. But each reaction after the first one suffers a cumulative minus 20. Standard actions are at the core of a combat round. They are self-contained and the results are seen in the same turn, unless they possess some item or ability. Player characters have one standard action per round. All right. So perception versus awareness. So their awareness is 20. And my perception is 20. Okay. Let's see. So 20 versus 20 is 0, but it doesn't say if there's a tie how to determine it. So we'll roll a die 10. 1. And they'll roll a die 10. 2. Okay. So they win initiative. Okay. Let's see how they're going to attack. 5 and 5. So they're both going to use Haunting Wail. All creatures must make a successful resolve check to avoid becoming stunned for 1 round. Okay. So my resolve is 10. Okay. I want to give me some old school polyhedrals that are 20-sided. And number 0 to 9 twice. Okay. So that's a 40. I'm stunned for a round, so they can attack again. 2 and 6. Okay. So 2 is a curt slash, and 6 is vengeful onslaught. So swings its weapon. Combat skill is 30. I should give it a bonus to hit since I'm stunned, but I'm weak enough as it is. 44. Okay, that's a miss. A vengeful onslaught. The skeletal horde charges forward with relentless determination. Targeting one creature, it makes a melee attack against the target. Okay, so I hope he hit. I hope he misses, because 24 he hit. Okay, so he does a die 10 damage, and then immediately uses its ethereal grasp ability as a free action. So 6 damage. That's going to take me. Can you see where I rolled anyway. So 8. Okay. Let's see. Ethereal grasp. Skeletal horde reaches out with his hand, attempting to touch the essence of a target's life force. The target must make an endurance check. On a failed check, they take die 6 necrotic damage. When the skeletal horde regains health equal to half the damage dealt, rounding up. On a successful roll, the target takes half damage, rounding up, and the skeletal horde doesn't regain health. Okay, so attempting to touch. The target must make an endurance check. But it didn't say they have to make a... It doesn't say whether they have to make it a hit check or not, but I'm going to give him the hit check anyway. 82. So that's a miss. So now I can strike finally. So with my bladed weapon, I have a 60% chance. 23. And then I have bludgeoning weapon 40. 47, so I missed. So I do extra 1d4 damage, but what I don't understand is how much damage my dagger does. So that's a 2 damage. I have 3 hit points, so how much damage does my dagger do? Well, at least 1. Okay. The attacking character makes a standard skill check. We did that. Okay. We compare both results. If the attacker rolled highest while still rolling below their skill score, they score a hit. If on the other hand, the defender rolled highest while still rolling below their skill, or rolling an uncontested critical, they get to roll on the defensive move table. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to reset my toughness to 14. Okay. So let's do this right. So we're going to roll. They have a 30% chance to hit. 69. Okay, that's a miss. So now I'm going to roll 67 and 07. All right. So I hit with my club, and I do an extra die 4 a damage. That's a die 3 that kills it. Okay. So we'll do that. And now let's try this again. It's they rolled a hit, and that's a 10, not a 100. That means they hit. Then I get to roll twice. $62. And again, 29. Well, the problem is he rolled lower. He rolled 10, so they hit. So now we roll a die 10. Well, it's a 10. Oh, not a die 10. I'm on the wrong page. It's a die 6. So now we roll a die 6. It's a 4. Ethereal Grasp. Okay, so I have to make an endurance check. What's my endurance? 10. 13. No, wait, 31. So okay, failed check, I take die 6 damage. Six. Yay. All right. So now we're going to go back to 8. Okay. Okay, I still did that wrong. The attacker rolls, then the defender rolls. The defender's making a defensive move. God bless it. We'll get this down. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'm still drawing. Okay. Okay. So they roll 33. Okay, they missed. I still get to roll, and if I roll under a 33 and it's a hit, so my 60-40, so if I roll under a 33, I get a defensive move. Okay, so that's 21. So I get a defensive move. I'm trying to figure this out now. So I get a defensive move. 9. You get a moment or spy after fending off your opponent's attack. Recover 2 toughness, 2 health in case of NPCs. All right. Golly gee. Okay. This is a very simple combat system now that I figured it out. All right. Let's see. So now I'm going to roll to hit with my dagger under 60. $80, under 40, 31. I hit with my club. Now, these two, if they can roll 30 or less, they can get a defensive move. So 71 and 83. So they didn't get a defensive move, but I forgot. He's still up. Okay, now we got to do damage because they did not get any kind of defensive move. Okay, I still did that wrong. In order to get a defense move, you've got to roll below your skill roll, but it's got to be a higher number than the hit roll. They didn't do it anyway. So now what we got to do is, I know I need a die 4. Got to figure out how to do damage. A weapon speed is added to your combat skill checks. So my combat skill checks get a +10 and a +5. Okay, so I need to roll a hit location. 7. So that's the abdomen. So he has chest armor, not abdomen. So no armor. So every creature you encounter will have a weak spot. Okay. I think it's the head for this thing. Yeah, the head for skeletal horror. So we didn't hit the weak spot. You can target specific body parts by applying a -30. Dealing damage. Okay, if an attacker manages to hit, the attacker rolls damage and compares the result of each die to the damage table. Okay, so the die roll can be, I believe, is a die 10, because the table here shows, see, you got 10 plus. Maybe that's because of modifiers. Okay. And also it says here that we take, like we've been doing, damage to toughness. After that's gone, then we take damage to health. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. If an attack makes a hit, the attacker rolls damage and compares the result of each die to the damage table. All non-magical weapons will die 6 damage. Why do they have to make it? Why can't they make it just simple? Okay. If an attack manages to hit, the attacker rolls damage and compares the result of each die to the damage table. Okay. So I'm assuming that since I have a non-magical weapon that does die 6 damage, we do this. I have a plus 1 die 4 air damage. 3. 3 does 1 damage, and a 4 does 1 damage. So I do 2 damage to him. He's got 1 hit point left. Okay. So when we do combat, we're gonna need these pages here. So let's just make a note. Combat. Page 67. So there we got that. Okay. So I think I figured it out. It's their turn to strike again. So $63 and $59. So they didn't hit. So now I can see if I can get below 63 and hit. No, 95 won't do it. Let's see if I can get below a 59 and hit, which will be below 40. That's 12. Okay. So that means I get to roll a die 10 on the defensive move. Your opponent receives the bleeding 1 condition. Okay. Now all the conditions here. I mean, if you've taken at least 1 hit point of damage, let's make sure of something here. Doesn't say they're immune to bleeding. He's taking at least 1 hit point of damage. He had 1 hit point left, so we'll just kill him. And then I get to strike twice. So there's a 76. A 61, that's 2 misses. 41, no defensive move. Now, he gets to strike. Miss. I get 2 defensive moves. 28 and 11. So now 6 and 1. That's my 2 defensive moves. Six. Next attack deals plus die 10 damage. Your next attack receives an additional plus 10. So I'm plus 10 to hit. And also, I forgot, I need to put in this is going to be 70%. And this one is 45%. Because we add our weapon speed to the percentage to hit. So, okay. So now I get to attack at 80 and 50. 80 and 55. 84, can you believe this? And 39, okay. So, mm, 60. So that's 1 strike, 1 hit. And I got a 1 and a 5. So now we have to look on our table for damage. Well, actually, $17 is the right arm, so nothing special about the right arm. And we have 5 and 1. Okay. So 1 is 0 and 5 is 2. So he takes 2 hit points of damage. Now he's got 1 hit point left. All right. Now he gets to attack. 37. That's a miss. I want to defend. 78. 21. Oh, no, wait a minute. I had my bonus last round of plus 10 to hit and plus 10 damage. So he goes down because a 10 is 4 damage. So that's it. That's it. Okay. So what happens, there's one thing I can't figure it out. And that is, what happens when you have someone hits and there's a successful defense roll. When compared with both results, if the attacker rolled highest while still rolling below the skill score, they still would hit. Oh yes, whoever's highest. Whoever's highest. So I don't think I still did that exactly right. So we got to remember this next combat and do it right. I still didn't do it exactly right. But we're learning, aren't we? Okay. So, we entered the room. We had a combat encounter. We resolved the encounter, and now we're going to scavenge, which means I need to roll my scavenge, which is 20%. But since we won combat, do we get any kind of bonus? I want to make sure. Okay. All right. So all right. So we just roll our percentiles, and we want to get our 20 or less. 27. Wow. Well, we tried. Okay, so no skipping. So now we're going to enter, if you remember, I'll show it to you real quick here. We were here and we came down to this room, had the combat. Now we're going to enter this corridor. So we enter a corridor. Let's get a description of the corridor. Intricate carvings adorn the walls, depicting scenes of ancient rituals and funerary rites. The air is heavy with a sense of solemnity and reverence. Okay. So that's a description. Attention check. Die 8. A 2. So our attention is now die 6. Okay, we did the tension check, and now if we get a 15 or better, there'll be an encounter. An 8. No encounter. Door check is closed. Die 20. 12 plus, it's closed. Okay. I'm gonna roll that again. 9. It was up on the edge there. So it's not closed. Check for traps. Die 10. 7 plus, there's a trap. Okay. Seven of the trap. Okay. So, doors and containers, traps. Okay. And I got the page number right there, don't I? Okay. If the lock is trapped, you must perform a perception check. All right. My perception is 20. Let's perform a perception check. 76. Ooh. Okay. roll on the traps table. Unless, of course, we have a card for traps. There it is. Let's see, let's pull up a trap here. Noxious gas is released, filling the chamber. All characters must pass an endurance check or immediately receive 2d4 poison damage. Okay. So endurance is 10. Wow. 11. Missed it by 1 again. Well, that was 27 before, not 21, but still. All right. 2d4. Let's roll 2d4. And that'll be that one. 4 and 1, 5. So, toughness is now 11. All right. Okay. Let's go. The door's open. Let's go into the next room. So we go into a room. We'll do a tension check with a die 6. A 1. Which means our tension die is now a die 4. Okay, we don't have to do those checks. We check to see if there's an encounter. 15. Die 20 encounter with a 10 or better. So we get an encounter. And the encounter is going to be off our dungeon list here. We're going to roll a die 20 again. It's a 5. And it's Blight Fang Rats. All right. I'll let you look at this here. Blight Fang Rats. These abominable rodents are grotesque amalgamations of rotting flesh and shadows. Their sinewy bodies covered in mangy mottled fur, possessing malevolent crimson eyes that pierce the very soul. Blight Fang Rats can really spread havoc quickly if left unchecked. Whispers speak of these nightmarish creatures amassing beneath Valdonia, ready to unleash an apocalyptic wave of suffering upon the world. Their head is their weakness. They have 3 different actions. Their combat skill's 30. Their health is 3. Something I didn't check on last combat is athletics. And that is that athletics is a count as their hit points too. Okay. And something I also forgot to do when I got hit, I forgot to roll hit location. So we got to do all this. I need to make a flow chart for combat. Okay. But the damage dealt shows the amount of health, toughness that must be subtracted from the creature. Just health. Okay. Characters reduce toughness and health. Okay. Any ability, spell, or item that increases damage by a fixed amount increases the damage die roll, not the amount of damage. So the way I'm doing it using the chart is correct. All non-magical weapons, you'll die 6. We're doing that. Okay. Here's something. Any damage modifiers are applied to the lowest die roll, but only to a single die. Okay. All right. So we need 3 giant rats. Let's see what we have here. That. Don't really have any giant rats out of all these miniatures I have. I got these little cobalt things. We'll just use those. Close enough. Little pesky creatures, right? And there's 3 standees. So you two might show up again later. We'll put you over here. Well, there it is. There's the slot. All right. We slide it and push down. Come on. Slide you and push down. Slide you and push down. Slide you and push down. 1. 2. 3. There we go. All right, let's do some combat. The first thing we want to do is, what is their these guys have no armor, by the way. Their awareness is 60. Okay, cool. So they got initiative. Okay, they got initiative. They have good awareness, these rats. Dirty rats. And they have a 30 to hit, just like the other monsters. 31. 90. 31. Okay. So now, all I gotta do, since they missed, is to make my roll. So once again, with modifiers, my rolls are 70% and 45%. 78. God almighty. And 007. All right. That'll work. Yeah. So that gives me a roll on the defense table. So we roll 10 for that. 3. Your opponent receives the bleeding condition. The bleeding 1 condition. Okay. So this time we're going to have to find out exactly what that is. Exhaustion. Let's see. I just want to make a note here about this. Exhaustion and sanity. Okay. So where is the bleeding condition? So post checks, critical success and fumbles. Combat. This is very aggravating. I want to do this right. Healing and death. Conditions. Conditions. I found them. Bleeding. A bleeding character receives an amount of damage determined by the effect's intensity until the condition is removed. This is a cumulative condition, so while initially it will seem harmless, you must treat the damage received as a damage roll. So if the bleeding damage is 3, that means the victim suffers 1 damage per the damage dealt table. It can slowly become a real threat. So basically, if it's 1, but it's cumulative, so if we go to the damage table, he doesn't take any damage, but next round it will be a 2. He'll take a 1 point every round for 3 rounds, and then it'll become 5, he'll take 2, just like that. Let's see. Let's see. 3 rats. And we'll put bleed once per melee round. And right now we're at 0. Okay. Let's see. These things have 3 hit points. Okay. We have 3 hat rats here, and they've got 3, 3, and 3. And I got one of them on bleed now. Okay. So, I get to attack. I'm going to attack the one that's on bleed with my dagger. 11. Okay, excellent. Then I'm going to attack the other one. 0, 1. Now, they each get a defensive move. 52. 36. No. They have a 30 to hit. Okay. Okay. So I hit both my guys. Let's see. Next time we play, I will have a combat flow chart. I'm gonna see if I can find something I download that's got like charts on it, like defensive moves and let's see, hit location, quadruped. I'll roll a die 20 for that. A 4. The left hand leg, and a 9. The hindquarters. So I did hit the head. I don't get a critical hit. But now let's see. We're going to go to our damage table, and on the first one that's on bleed, we're going to roll these 2 die here. 4 and 3. That's 2 hit points of damage. That means the next round, he's dead because he's bleeding. He'll take a hit point. So excellent. All right, so he's dead, basically. He's not going to get to act again. And we have 6 and 3. 1 and 2, 3. 3 hit points. Okay, excellent. Excellent. So these 2, they go down. Bap, bap. Right? Just sliced one of them. And then he gets a strike. 40, he missed. I got a defensive move, 2 defensive moves. 85. And 19. But the defensive move has to be higher than the 30. Okay. That's right. So now it's my turn to attack. I can't. Oh, Lord. Oh. Man, 70. I missed both times. Now he gets to roll defense. 81. Because it says here, if one side fails the attack roll, but their opponent doesn't, then the successful side manages to attack or defend, depending on whose turn it is. Okay. So if they miss, then the defense the defense automatically happens. That's what it is. All right, let me try this. I'm gonna roll a hit. 96 and a 25. Three and two. That's 2 damage. And I'm ready to roll a hit location. 10. So it does it 4 quarters. So 2 damage. He's got 1 left. Okay, he rolls the hit. 13, that's a hit. But if I roll higher than him, but under my stuff, 42, okay, that's successful. And 40, that's successful. If the attacker roll high, so I'll still run below the skill score, they score a hit. If, on the other hand, it's a defender roll high, so I'll still run below their skill rolling, and that's critical, they get to roll on the defensive move table. Okay? Or if the attack has failed, okay, then you still defend. Okay. Okay, I'm getting this down. So I got 2 successful defense rolls. 10 and 9. Okay, I'll recover 2 health. All right. And you can attack a specific body part without the -3 modifier on your next attack. All right, so let's hit this guy in the head and be done with him. 66. That's good. And 76. Not good. But we got a critical to the head. He's only got 1 hit point of damage left anyway. So I'm not going to roll his defense roll. Because they can't roll higher than me and they'll be successful. So. Okay. So the thing that I want to determine is so we know this for next time. Where are the weapons at? We need to know. And let me include you. We need to know, like, bludgeoning. Bludgeoning ignores 1 armor. And because I have a bludgeon, piercing deals +1 damage when the character performing the attack attacks for their target. So was that the beginning of the combat or every melee round? We need to figure these things out. And I'm going to figure this out before we play again, so we have a better flow of combat. I thought that, I'd read through this and I thought that it would be fairly simple since this is a solo game, but it's a little more detailed than I thought it would be. So anyway, thank you very much for joining in. And I hope, and I plan on, no, not just hope, but next time we'll have a faster, better flow. And we'll do the post-combat stuff next time, and we'll see about resting and things like that. Okay? All right. So, we'll see you next episode.